You can sneeze 6 times and give yourself a brain bleed. Your phone charger could electrocute you, and you could even start a house fire just by doing laundry. The world isn't just dangerous, it's out to get you in the most ridiculous, everyday ways imaginable. I'm Mike with List 25, and these are 25 things you didn't know will kill you. Right off the bat, let's talk about sneezing. Over the years, it's been the subject of plenty of myths, like the idea that it stops your heart for a few seconds, or that you can't sneeze with your eyes open. But while most of these are exaggerated, sneezing has been known to kill. In the UK, a healthy 17-year-old once sneezed 6 times in a row and died from a brain hemorrhage. Doctors have also documented torn arteries, ruptured blood vessels, and even full-on aortic dissections triggered by a particularly violent sneeze. Still, the most relatable danger might be sneezing while driving. One good sneeze can shut your eyes for about a second, and at 75 miles an hour, that is over 100 feet of blind travel. That is the length of 7 parked cars. So yeah, don't underestimate sneezing. Of course, if sneezing doesn't get you, unwinding in the tub just might. It sounds silly, but bath-related deaths are more common than you'd think. In the US, over 100 people drown in bathtubs each year. When you factor in its slips, scalds, and falls, the number climbs even higher. Globally, bath-related deaths are estimated at around 19,000 annually, with Japan alone reporting approximately 5,000 such deaths. Older adults are particularly at risk. Now, add alcohol to the mix, and you can only make it more dangerous by dulling your reflexes and lowering your blood pressure, making it easier to slip underwater unnoticed. One tragic case involved a woman in Ireland who, after a few drinks, took a bath, fell asleep, and drowned. Moral of the story? Baths are great, but just don't get too comfortable in there. Now, most of us rely on caffeine to function like semi-decent human beings, but there is a line, and if you cross it, it'll kill you. There have already been more than 90 confirmed deaths from caffeine overdoses. In 2013, a Welsh man died after downing what amounted to 200 cups worth of caffeine in the form of a caffeine powder. His blood caffeine level hit 392 milligrams per liter. For reference, one regular cup of coffee only gives you about 2 to 4. And while a truly lethal dose sits around 10 grams, which is about 50 to 100 cups of coffee in a short span, it's way easier to get there when you mix powders, caffeine pills, and a couple of energy drinks on top of your usual 2 or 3 morning brews. Even a little too much can mess you up with panic, heart palpitations, or sudden blackout. You could also die just by ingesting too much salt. It's known as hypernatremia, and it happens when your sodium levels in your blood spike so high that your cells lose water. That includes the ones in your brain, which start to dry out. Cue seizures, strokes, comas, or sudden death. In one medical review, salt overdoses were linked to 35 deaths across 27 separate cases, and 16 of those victims were children. In some instances, as little as 10 grams of sodium, that's less than 5 teaspoons, was enough to be fatal. Some of those deaths came from dangerous cleansing rituals and even a charity event gone wrong. But even outside those extremes, our salt obsession isn't doing us any favors. Globally, it's tied to nearly 2 million deaths a year, mostly from strokes and heart disease. On the bright side, doing absolutely nothing can also kill you. Yep, inactivity is now considered one of the leading causes of death worldwide. A landmark study found that skipping the recommended 150 minutes of exercise per week leads to approximately 5.3 million deaths every year. That is just as many as smoking. The good news? Even a brisk 15-minute walk a day can make a massive difference. But if your idea of movement is reaching for the remote or scrolling through today's streaming options, well, you might want to start rethinking your routine. Next up, beware of your local bakery section. Unwashed poppy seeds, the kind sprinkled on bagels, muffins, and everything seasoning, can be coated in natural morphine and codeine residue from the opium poppy plant. Most baked goods go through enough heat to kill off 80 to 90% of these opiates. But when people use raw seeds to make poppy seed tea, well, that's a different story. That tea can act like diluted heroin, and yes, people have overdosed. One man in the US died after brewing tea with seeds he ordered online. Others have ended up in the ER with morphine poisoning. Even if you're not drinking the stuff, eating enough poppy seeds can still mess with drug tests. And all this time, he thought poppy seeds were the healthiest plant. Then again, not all slow burns are emotional. Being a fan of that golden glow, whether from the sun or a tanning bed, well, it comes at a cost. And that cost is usually skin cancer. Just one tanning bed session before age 35 can increase your risk of melanoma by 75%, according to multiple medical studies. Millions of people still climb into sunbeds or bake in the sun thinking, just one more tan won't hurt. But even adolescent tanning has been linked to nearly double the risk of deadly skin cancer. It's not instant, and that's exactly why it gets overlooked. But every session adds up, and eventually, that beach bronzed look could turn into a diagnosis. Still, some of the most dangerous things in your house don't even move until they do. Tip-over accidents from unsecured furniture kill hundreds of people per year, mostly children. Since 2000, there have been at least 581 fatalities in the US caused by falling furniture, TVs, and appliances. Nearly 80% of those were kids under the age of 5. Even adults aren't guaranteed to walk away if a bookshelf tips the wrong way. The worst part? Most of these accidents happen in seconds, during a climb, a pull, or a simple bump. It just takes one wrong bump or a wobble, and your TV goes from home decor to a headline. Sadly, not every household hazard looks like one. You know those little coin-shaped batteries? The ones hiding in remotes, toys, and hearing aids? If a child swallows one, it can burn through their tissue in less than 2 hours. Every year, over 3,500 button battery cases are reported in the US, and most of them involve children under the age of 5. And while most parents of young kids are well aware of the danger, ER visits for battery-related injuries have doubled over the past 2 decades. Even with safety packaging and bitter coatings, they're still getting in. One solid tip: if a kid swallows one and you can't get to a hospital right away, give them a spoonful of honey, only if they're over the age of 1, because that might slow the burn. It doesn't fix it, but it does buy you time. On a totally different note, let's talk about internet challenges. And no, not the harmless shove as many marshmallows in your mouth kind. I'm talking about the one chip challenge. A stunt that dared people to eat a single chip dusted with Carolina Reaper and Naga Viper pepper powder, one of the 2 hottest chilies known to man. In 2023, 14-year-old Harris Wolobaugh from Massachusetts took the challenge, collapsed later that day, and tragically died. An autopsy revealed he had a rare heart condition, and the extreme capsaicin load likely triggered a fatal cardiac event. He wasn't the only one affected. Hospitals saw a spike in teens showing up with chest pain, vomiting, and even passing out after trying it. Despite warnings, the chips were easy to buy, right up until the brand pulled them from shelves. But by then, the damage was already done. Moving on. There's a reason pediatricians warn against certain kinds of bedding in a crib. 3,500 infants die in the US annually from sleep-related causes, and a huge chunk of those are linked to things like thick quilts, loose blankets, and stuffed animals in the crib. One study actually found that soft bedding was involved in nearly 70% of accidental suffocation deaths among infants. And despite years of safe sleep campaigns, over half of caregivers still use bedding that experts flat out say not to. It feels counterintuitive, I get it. Soft equals safe, right? The safest setup, according to the experts, is a flat mattress, fitted sheet, and a wearable blanket or sleep sack. Something that keeps them warm without coming loose. It might not look Pinterest perfect, but in this case, less really is more. Not to be outdone, lawnmowers have been ruining lives for decades. And I'm not just talking about the riding kind. Even your standard everyday push mower can be lethal. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, roughly 75 people die from mowing-related accidents in the US per year. Many of those are children, either run over while playing nearby or hit by debris launched at high speeds. So, those red warning labels are completely earned. Your quiet mower spins fast enough to shred a shoe, tear through bone, and turn debris into deadly projectiles. I should also talk about small change, because coins are right up there with button batteries. In the US alone, one child chokes to death every 5 days, and coins are one of the biggest usual suspects. If you've got pennies lying around, especially the post-1982 kind loaded with zinc, keep them out of reach. They have been known to corrode stomach linings, trigger ulcers, and in rare cases, lead to fatal internal injuries. About 21,000 ER visits every year are linked to coin ingestion, and that's just the ones we know about. Unlike button batteries, coins don't come with warning labels or child-proof packaging, so it's on us to be smart about where we leave them. A classic kid favorite with a side of spinal injury is the trampoline. Just how many people do you think it injures per year? The number might shock you. Over 100,000. And at least 500 of those cases result in permanent neurological damage. From 1998 to 2017 alone, there were nearly 1.4 million ER visits tied to trampoline injuries. And somewhere in there, we had several recorded deaths. The truth is, trampolines are basically permission to play chicken with gravity. You go up, you come down. And sometimes, you land hard on someone else's knee, a spring, or the ground. Also, just because it's under your sink doesn't mean it's safe. Everyone knows not to drink bleach or Windex. That is basic. But here's what way too many people still do. Spray one, spray the other, and think that mix works better. Bleach and ammonia don't clean better together. They combine into chloramine gas. That's the stuff that hits your lungs like a punch and can absolutely kill you in a poorly ventilated room. It doesn't take much. Several people have ended up in intensive care after mixing the wrong two sprays, and a few cases have turned fatal. So if your bathroom smells like a swimming pool and a cat box had a baby, stop cleaning. Open a window and leave the house. You wouldn't mix two drinks at random and chug it, so don't do it with cleaning products either. Okay, let's talk about grandma's greatest enemy. Underfed grandchildren. It's actually rugs. Cozy? Sure. Deadly? Also yes. According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, over 81,000 seniors are treated in emergency rooms every year after tripping over rugs or carpets. It usually starts with a loose edge or slippery backing and ends in a cracked hip or a brain bleed. Even Jimmy Fallon once tripped on a rug and nearly lost a finger, and he's not exactly pushing 80. Just secure the rug. She'll thank you for it. Probably with banana bread or something equally satisfying. I knew it was underfed grandchildren. Alright, let's talk about something that goes straight up your nose. Neti Pots. I'm not sure how popular they are elsewhere in the world, but moms in the US love them. It's a little teapot looking thing that people use to flush out their sinuses, and it works wonders. But only if you use the right water. If you grab water straight from the tap, you can end up with an organism called Naegleria fowleri, and that's where things get ugly. It causes a rare and aggressive brain infection known as PAM, or primary amoebic meningoencephalitis, and there's no easy way to say this, but it starts eating your brain. Since 1962, only 4 people in the US have survived it. Saline's fine, but if your water's not sterile, don't let it get anywhere near your nose. Meanwhile, the gentlemanly sport we call golf is supposed to be safer than sticking things up your nose, but golf balls can travel upwards of 150 miles an hour, and when they land where they're not supposed to, they hit hard. Like organ rupturing, skull fracturingly hard. There are several confirmed cases of people dying after being struck. A 10-year-old in Alabama, and a man in his 60s in California. Most people don't realize it, but golf courses in the US experience 2 to 3 fatalities a year. And I'm not even counting the people who end up hospitalized with internal bleeding or head trauma. Let's step off the fairway for a second and talk about extension cords. They're useful, no question, but way more hazardous than most people realize. And not just because someone might end up face planting over one in the hallway. Fire safety data shows that extension cords start about 3,300 house fires in the US every year. Those fires kill around 50 people and injure another 270. On top of that, another 4,000 injuries send people to the ER, and nearly half of those are things like cuts, sprains, and broken bones from falls. Nobody really talks about this, but extension cords are meant for short-term use only. If they overheat, get buried under rugs, or are pushed beyond their limit, they can catch fire fast, and they don't really give you much of a warning. The next spot on today's list is reserved for pressure washers. Instead of the usual 50 psi, they can discharge water at anywhere from 1,500 to 4,000 psi. That is up to 80 times more force. They're popular for good reason, and they clean fast. But all that power comes with risk. As they say, with great power comes great responsibility. If the spray hits skin directly, even for a moment, it can tear it open. Worse, the water can push deep into tissue and spread bacteria around, which can lead to dangerous infections. And even though we tried, the most recent stats we could find on pressure washers were from 2014, which is crazy considering how much they've grown in popularity. But even back then, over 6,000 people ended up in the ER because of them. There have even been reports of internal injuries. So yes, it might clean patios, carpets, or swimming pools like a dream, but treat it more like a power tool than a garden toy. But they are still not as underestimated as your average staircase. You use them every day without thinking twice, which is probably why they're so dangerous. In the UK alone, 1,000 people die from falling down stairs each year. In India, a study found the majority of stair-related deaths weren't among the elderly, but actually people my age, between 31 and 40. The second most affected group, 21 to 30. Compare that to elevators, which only cause about 27 deaths a year in the US, and suddenly those viral stuck in a lift videos seem a little overdramatic. The humble staircase doesn't get the same horror movie treatment, but it definitely should. There's also more than one downside when it comes to laundry day. According to the US Fire Administration, approximately 2,900 dryer fires are reported each year, resulting in an estimated 5 deaths, 100 injuries, and $35 million in property loss. The leading cause? Failure to clean the dryer, particularly the lint filter and vent. Lint is highly combustible, and when it accumulates, it can cause the dryer to overheat and ignite. To prevent such fires, it's crucial to clean the lint filter before and after each load, ensure the dryer is properly vented, and have the venting system inspected and cleaned regularly. Remember, a little maintenance can go a long way in keeping your home safe. There's so much lint in the air now. This is a bad idea. I clean mine every time. You can tell I just grabbed this. Whew, that's a lot of lint in the air. Which brings me to hand sanitizers. Are you still carrying some with you everywhere you go? I think if there's one good thing the pandemic did, it's that it made all of us way more aware of germs and how to keep our hands clean. However, not everyone is using them responsibly. There have also been cases where adults have ingested sanitizer on purpose, either thinking it was a shortcut to getting drunk or simply not realizing how dangerous it is. In 2020, the CDC reported 15 cases of methanol poisoning from contaminated sanitizers in Arizona and New Mexico alone. 4 people died. 3 were permanently blinded. Even the regular kind, the one made with ethanol, can cause alcohol poisoning if swallowed, especially in small children. It's still a great thing to have around, don't get me wrong, just keep it where kids can't reach. And don't drink it. God, I can't believe I have to say it. Don't drink hand sanitizer. It's a PSA that I didn't know I needed to say. And number 2 on our list today, charging your cell phone. I know, it is so mundane, but it's taken lives. For example, a Malaysian startup CEO died after his smartphone exploded on his nightstand while charging. The battery failed so violently that it caused fatal head trauma and started a fire. And while cases like that are rare, they are not one-offs. Faulty batteries in phones, laptops, and chargers have been known to overheat, catch fire, or even explode. According to the US Consumer Product Safety Commission, dozens of injuries have been linked to lithium-ion battery failures in everyday electronics, including burns, house fires, and electric shocks. So do not sleep next to your charging phone. And if your charger gets hot, smells weird, or comes from somewhere unreliable, unplug it. It is not worth the risk. And finally, going to the doctor. Yes, a regular doctor's appointment is all it takes, because a surprising number of people die not from diseases, but from preventable medical mistakes. One of the most unexpected causes? Bad handwriting. According to the National Academies of Sciences Institute of Medicine, 7,000 people die each year because of misread prescriptions. And that's just one piece of the problem. Broader studies on medical errors put the total death toll somewhere between 250 and 440,000 a year in the US alone. That includes everything from incorrect dosages to surgical mistakes. Bottom line, always double check. Even the professionals get it wrong. And that's a wrap. But before you go, here's a quick trivia hit to keep the danger vibes going. Which one of these has caused more annual deaths in the US? A. Vending machines. B. Sharks. C. Lightning. Or D. Lawnmowers. Think you've got it? Well, drop your answer in the comments below. Let's hear it. And if you're not done visiting just yet, our related video is right up your alley. 25 unbelievable ways nature defies science. It comes with warm-blooded fish, frogs that lactate, and a whole secret organ your body's apparently been hiding this entire time. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, and I'll see you again next time. I saluted with the wrong hand. Whatever. Adios.